Investments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Exactly, Stephen A. He's been here for 10 years, and we're still trying to figure him out. The Justin Kenner Show, weekdays at 3 p.m., right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Are you ready?
All right, everybody, we welcome you in live here on a Monday, the Justin Kenner Show, 1410 Wing AM. 937-518-1410, that's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. You can call or you can text. I also have a chance for you to win $1,000 coming up here around the corner. We're going to talk about the Reds, your first-place Reds, with only a few days remaining in the month of April. How likely is it that we're going to see the Reds close out the month of April in first place, sitting atop the NL Central? Reds are off today, but we'll talk about what they did over the weekend. The NFL draft, well, again, first round action this past Thursday. We recapped the first round for both the Browns and the Bengals, although the Bengals did not have a first round draft pick because they used that number 10 draft pick to go and get Dexter Lawrence. How did the Bengals fare the remainder of the weekend throughout rounds 2 through 7? Well, we'll talk about that coming up. Plus, the Browns doing what they do best, winning the offseason. But when will winning the offseason translate to winning in the regular season? That's the big question that everybody has. But again, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Excited to be with you here today. And yes, we're going to open up with some draft talk. We'll open it up with this, with the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, as we talked about, of course, they did not have a first-round pick. They did. They used that first-round pick to go get Dexter Lawrence. You guys know my take on that. I think it's a Super Bowl. That's a big-time move. That's a Super Bowl caliber move right there. That is a division, shifting type of move right there. If you are the Cincinnati Bengals, you know that it pains me to give them any kind of compliments, but that was a big-time move. It was a big-time deal. But the thing that I've been most impressed with Cincinnati is their aggressiveness in the offseason when it comes to free agency, because I've also felt that because of their lack of urgency in free agency over the last couple of years, that it put so much pressure on the draft. It put pressure on Duke Tobin. It put pressure on Katie Blackburn and the members of the front office of the Bengals that, okay, we weren't very aggressive in the offseason in regards to free agency. The Bengals never make trades. That's what made the Dexter Lawrence deal so impressive, that it almost felt like it was draft or bust. The only way to get Joe Burrow over that plateau, to get over that hill, is they have to nail it in the draft. And that's just something that Cincinnati doesn't do. And it was interesting because watching the draft the last couple of years, every time the Bengals were on the clock, I could feel the angst. I could feel how uncomfortable and nervous Bengals fans were. And it was one of those where I felt like even their own fan base, your own fan base, does not trust your front office because there was a lot of pressure on the draft. I think it's ridiculous anytime any organization in any sport puts all the pressure on rookies to come in to carry you to a Super Bowl. It's one thing if you're a position or two away and you really got to hit on that position. But the Bengals we paid Joe Burrow, we paid Jamar Chase, we paid T. Higgins. It's up to first, second, third-year guys to come in and totally turn this thing around. I don't think that's completely fair, especially when the Bengals have made some boneheaded decisions in recent drafts, kind of reaching on a lot of guys. This offseason's been different. The Bengals put in the work in free agency. I said if you take the draft out of it, even if the Bengals don't draft one player, the Bengals are already head and shoulders better defensively than what they were a year ago. And that right there, by being better defensively than where they were last season, that automatically moves the Bengals up into that Super Bowl conversation. They won't be the favorites by any means, but they are going to be a Super Bowl contender or right on that bubble. And what I loved about what they did this offseason when it came to free agency is now it allowed the front office, Duke Tobin, Katie Blackburn, and company, to sit back and say, okay, let's not overthink this. Whoever we draft here, our Super Bowl future, as far as this upcoming season, our entire future is not put on the shoulders of whoever we draft tonight. That was the case the last couple of years. The last couple of years, you had to hit on a Shamar Stewart. You know what I mean? Demetrius Knight had to be great. These guys had to come in and be great because they didn't make efforts on the offensive line. They didn't make efforts on the defensive line. They didn't make efforts in free agency. And it was just putting it all on the pressure of rookies to come in to save the day. And I just don't think that for Cincinnati, who is in a win now mode, they operated in the offseason as if they are a rebuilding team. But they would tell you that they're in a win now mode. Their roster tells you they're in a win now mode. When you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that is a win now trio. That's not we got to rebuild and hopefully we'll win with this group in a couple of years. But that's what the last 3 years has turned into. Lack of aggressiveness in the offseason and free agency and being bums in the draft has set the franchise back a few years. And I think by being aggressive in free agency, it took a lot of pressure off the front office with this draft. And this draft was not bad. This is the first draft in a while where Cincinnati has come out and you look at it and it's like they got some decent value players early on. You look at Davis, the cornerback out of Washington that you got in the third round, Cassius Howell. I don't know how I feel about Howell. I mean, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, but here's the cool part. Had you not traded for Dexter Lawrence, you would have probably tried to take a cornerback or a safety. Let's say the Bengals get Caleb Downs, which would have been fantastic. But Caleb Downs would not have fixed the defensive line issues, even with going to get guys like Mafe and others. It's like you still would have been very light up front. Because if you go get, like I said, if you get Mafe and you had Trey Hendrickson, my goodness, now that's a great addition. But remember, you lost Trey Hendrickson. And then you would have drafted Caleb Downs probably with that number 9 pick or that number 10 pick. And then you would have added Cassius Howell. I just don't think that wouldn't have moved the needle in enough time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's a great move. But now that you added Mafe, you went out and got Dexter Lawrence, and now you draft Cassius Howell, and you have Shamar Stewart from last year. Now you have depth pieces to work with. Now you're not bringing in Howell to go be the savior. You're not bringing Cassius Howell in to say, hey, go be great, go get the quarterback, because if you can't get to the quarterback, we're screwed. There's quite a few guys that have way more of a responsibility of stopping the run and getting to the quarterback before you get to Howell. And I think that's what's going to make Howell significantly better. Shamar Stewart was brought in last year as a project, but yet we knew he was a project. We knew there were some things he had to work on, but we still looked at him with this idea of, you got to be great. And if you're not great, you're a bum. And I think that sets Shamar Stewart back. I think that set a lot of these young rookies back over the last couple of years because you've brought them all in to be the savior, and you cannot do that. Cassius Howell was not brought in to be the savior. Same thing with Davis. Okay. I like a couple of the centers that Cincinnati got. It was an okay draft. But the reason I say it's an okay draft, I don't think it was a bad draft. I don't think it was a great draft. It's a wait and see with this draft. But I feel like coming out of it, I felt like all you Bengals fans were relaxed. You felt good because the Bengals did their part in free agency. You added pieces. You added a Super Bowl champion safety. You added a Super Bowl champion pass rusher, right? You added another Pro Bowl pass rusher. You added veteran championship winning caliber players. And then you turned your attention to the draft. You added Dexter Lawrence, right? Then you looked at the draft and said, how do we continue to make this team better? That's why I feel like it's a completely different vibe in Cincinnati, because the last couple of years, your fan base was already pissed off heading into the draft. Your team did nothing in the offseason and free agency and other parts. And then it was you head into the draft and you take major big chances on some of these guys, and you didn't feel good about the players you got. And then you get off to slow starts, and just the vibe around the team and the organization, it was just bad because of the lack of urgency that Duke Tobin and company acted upon or did not act upon. But like I said, no criticisms here for me when it comes to the Bengals. I don't think it was a great draft. I don't think that this is going to be the best draft in Bengals history. I just don't think that this is going to be a draft that we spend time on saying, what were they thinking? The last couple of years, there's been a lot of what the hell were they thinking type of picks. That's not the case this year. But I think the reason that we don't feel as emotional about this draft is because we're not putting a lot of emotion into this draft. The Bengals did what they were supposed to. They have a Super Bowl window. You have an MVP caliber quarterback in Joe Burrow, obviously the best receiver in football in Jamar Chase, a second number 1 caliber receiver in T. Higgins, a great playmaker in Chase Brown on offense. You still got some good, another tight end option in the draft as well. Like, Cincinnati did a good job as far as the depth and some of the pieces that they added. But again, so much pressure was taken off the draft because they did what they were supposed to in free agency. They added pass rushers, they added a safety, and they added the best interior defensive lineman in the league, arguably, and Dexter Lawrence. So now when draft night came, They obviously traded their first-round pick, but when day 2 came around, it was like, all right, let's go do this. This is easy now. And I think that's the difference in this draft. I feel like I don't know what to make of the players the Bengals got. I don't think that they hit many. I don't think that they hit any home runs, but I don't think they felt like they had to. I mean, you want to, don't get me wrong. I just don't feel like they had to go out and succeed with these players right now, only because they'd already done the work before. But imagine if Hal's a beast with the additions of Mafe, with Dexter Lawrence, right? And let's say Shamar Stewart takes that next step. Now all of a sudden are just, it went from nothing can go right for Cincinnati to now nothing can go wrong. So at the end of the day, I like what the Bengals did in the draft. And when I say I like it, I don't really have an opinion of it. I don't think it was a bad draft. I just don't think it was a great one. But the reason I don't care that it wasn't a great draft is because it didn't have to be. And that's a win for Cincinnati. The fact that you are not sitting back saying, oh my God, we're only going to be as good as the draft says we are, that's a problem. You're going to be as good as you are because of the aggressiveness shown in the early stages of the offseason when it came to free agency and that big trade made for Dexter Lawrence. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Bengals fans, how do you feel about the draft? 937-518-1410. Is this the best draft that you remember in quite some time? Did it not do anything for you? Or do you not care? Because that's how good free agency and that trade for Dexter Lawrence was. 937-518-1410. You can text or call. More of your reactions when we come back.
Reds invented something new, wallet load management. They rest the bank account like the NBA rests its players. The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
In the spirit of NFL Draft Week, schools are on the clock for student health and well-being. The NFL Foundation, powered by Gen Youth and Action for Healthy Kids, is launching NFL Flag in-school Play 60 champions to rally school districts to step up, sign on, and become champions for student health, creating active and supportive environments for youth during the school day and beyond. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell explains.
Flag football is one of the fastest growing and most inclusive sports in the country. When schools bring NFL Flag in school into their programs, it becomes a catalyst, sparking enthusiasm for movement and helping more students reach that goal of 60 active minutes each day.
Here's Gen Youth CEO Anne-Marie Krautheim.
Fewer than 1 in 4 students get the recommended 60 minutes of daily physical activity. Now, with Action for Healthy Kids, we're inviting every school to apply for a free NFL Flag in School kit and join the Play 60 Champions movement.
Schools can apply today at flag.genyouthnow.org.
Ohio delivers elections you can trust through unparalleled accuracy. In every election, we feature a thorough bipartisan audit with a consistent 99.9% accuracy rate. Make your plan to vote at voteohio.gov. Absentee ballots must be returned by Election Day.
Kubota keeps the job site running smoothly with the #1 selling compact excavator lineup in the world. Reliable, capable, and backed by strong dealer support. Stop by today to power up your crew. Right now, bring home select Kubota excavators with 0% financing available or save up to $7,000. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimer for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment Company in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment. Or check us out online at columbusequipment.com.
Spring is in the air, and Alev's long-lasting pain relief is here to keep you moving. The days are longer and the flowers are blooming. Whether it's gardening, yard work, or just spending more time outdoors, spring is a way of getting us moving despite any body pain. That's where Aleve can keep you going. With just 1 dose, Aleve gives you long-lasting body pain relief for up to 12 hours. From sunup to sundown, Aleve's got your back. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks so you can make smarter decisions faster. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic, the delicious daily detox that will keep you feeling your best. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon or pick up some at your local CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
Spring is the perfect time to beautify your home or business with locally grown plants from A. Brown & Sons Nursery. Check out Brown's Nursery for everyday low prices on thousands of healthy and colorful high-quality shade trees, evergreens, flowering trees, and bushes, perennials, and ornamental grasses. Brown's grows landscape-size hydrangeas, lilacs, butterfly bush, red buds, flowering crabs, magnolias, wisteria, wigula, spirea, forsythia, dogwood, fruit trees, and then there's western red cedar, arborvitae, boxwood, taxus, juniper, pines, and spruce. They have elms and tulip trees, sweet gums and oaks, black gum and hornbeams, willows and honey locusts, 30-plus varieties of maple, and so much more. Come see them at Brown's Nursery this weekend, Friday and Saturday 8 to 5, Sunday noon to 5. Landscape installation and landscape design are available too. Just 4 miles off of I-70, exit 24 on Route 49. They're easy to find and so worth the trip. Make your corner of the world a whole lot greener with Brown's Nursery.
It's ESPN Dayton's Spring Payout. We're giving away $1,000 every weekday for the rest of April. Keep it locked in here to 1410 ESPN Radio all day and be listening for winning keywords.
Are you ready?
Another chance to win $1,000. It's our ESPN Spring Payout. Every day, every weekday. Throughout the month of April, we've been giving away $1,000 a day. And here we are on the 27th. We only have a few more days remaining. Okay, this is the last week of our $1,000 a day giveaway. So make sure you're listening all day and be listening for those winning words. The word of the hour is sweet, S-W-E-E-T. Text sweet, S-W-E-E-T. 937-518-1410. Text sweet for your chance to win $1,000. More of the Justin Kinner Show. When we come back, we'll be back in 60 seconds.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 2689 Commons, Dayton.
The Reds have upset their fans. The Bengals and Browns are preparing for their top 10 draft picks. Ohio State is coming off a playoff season. Just another sports year in Ohio. Now back to 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner, the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410. That's the number you can text or call. The NFL draft is officially come and went. The Bengals, like I said, I'm not hating or anything like that. I think the draft was okay. I do feel like because, and like I said, to summarize kind of how the show opened up today, I believe that because of the work that the front office did up front, because of how aggressive they were in free agency, I think because of all the work that the Bengals did there, I think that it took a lot of pressure off this draft. I don't know about you, but I felt like the Bengals, man, really both teams, the Browns had to hit in this draft. The Bengals had to hit in this draft. And it felt like both teams were under a lot of pressure to do so. But what both teams did a very good job of is heading into the offseason, they knew they had a lot of needs. And unlike previous off seasons for the Bengals didn't wait to address those needs in the draft. They filled and touched on a lot of those through free agency, which I think is key. That is big time for the Cincinnati Bengals when the fact that, you added Mafe in the offseason, right? You added Dexter Lawrence by trading your first round pick, your number 10 overall pick as far as that's concerned. So that was huge. You go get Jonathan Allen. All right. And now you have guys like, obviously Miles Murphy, Shamar Stewart and others. You draft Cassius Howe. My thing is this, like how the Bengals have operated in recent years, they would not have added Mafe. They would not have made that, I say ridiculous in a good way, that ridiculous trade for Dexter Lawrence. Like that's ridiculous by Bengals standards because they just don't act with that much urgency. But what the Bengals would have done is they probably would have taken, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way, had they ended up with Caleb Downs, I don't think that's a bad thing. But I don't think that Caleb Downs would truly take off in Cincinnati in year one with a very bad pass rush. So they would have taken Caleb Downs in round one. You would have taken Cassius Howell in round two. And I don't think Cassius Howell is somebody that I look at and say, oh, man, he's going to come in and be a big-time difference maker on that defensive line. I actually think he will be a difference maker on this defensive line now because now he's going to be, along with Shamar Stewart, eased in to the rotation, eased in to their usage, as opposed to Shamar Stewart year two. You look like Myles Garrett, and damn it, we need you to be Myles Garrett. Cassius Howe, you're our big free agent, or you are our big pass rusher addition in this offseason. You have to go get the quarterback. You have to go be great. I just think that that's been the Bengals' biggest mistake the last couple of years is continuously trying, to rely on rookies to come in to carry Joe Burrow to the Super Bowl. And I don't mean carry Joe Burrow in a bad way. I mean, we all know Joe Burrow's been a defense away from getting there. I just think that's kind of stupid to look at all first and second year players to come save the day. So I love the fact that you added a Super Bowl champion in Mafe. I love the fact that you go get one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive lineman in Dexter Lawrence. Jonathan Allen, a Pro Bowl pass rusher, right? Like an all-pro. And then, you just look up and down and you look at the safety and Brian Cook, a Super Bowl champion. You added winners. You added talent. And then you looked at the draft and said, how do we add depth? Shamar Stewart was drafted last year. I get that, but Shamar Stewart's a depth piece now. A year ago, you brought him in to carry the defense to a Super Bowl. That was never going to happen, right? So Cassius Howe, I love that addition because of Dexter Lawrence, because Cassius Howe doesn't have to, and Mafe and Jonathan Allen, because he doesn't have to come in and be the guy. And my God, can you imagine if he does come in and become the guy? In the draft, that like I said, to me, the biggest win for Cincinnati was the fact that they took the pressure off the draft by improving the roster and free agency first, because it's been too many times recently where they head into the draft without any activity in free agency, any impact guy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like they didn't make any free agent additions over the years, but they haven't really added anyone of substance. They never made any free agent additions that were going to take the pressure off of the draft. They would add some, veteran pieces at certain positions, but never guys to come in to take the pressure off the draft. Everyone you added, you still had to find other people of that same position to help out. So, like I said, I think this is a good offseason. It's a great offseason for Cincinnati. It's probably the best offseason they've had since getting to the Super Bowl back in 2022. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, the draft, it was okay. I don't think the Bengals did anything special, but I don't think that they had to do anything special now because of the work that they put in early on. Brian, hope you're well. Brian Hetzel on Facebook, on the Justin Kinder Show Facebook page, says the Bengals draft was just solid. The only part I question is linebacker. No one in free agency or the draft. I agree. I think the one thing, though, remember, Cincinnati's defense has been so bad for so long that it wasn't one or two holes they had to fill. I mean, there's so many holes on that defense. The one thing, Duke Tobin, and we're going to hear some audio from Duke Tobin coming up here in a moment. Duke Tobin, I guess the makeshift GM, de facto GM, I never know with him, but, he addressed this earlier saying that, yes, he was talking about the linebackers. He said that the best thing that they did for the linebacker room is what they did with the D-line room. I'm not a Duke Tobin guy. I usually don't defend Duke Tobin, but I think it was one of those, okay, do we just make a light addition to each position group and hope that that's enough, or do we lean into it? I like that they leaned into Jonathan Allen, Mafe, Dexter Lawrence, and Cassius. I like that they added Cooks on the safe, at safety. I like that they leaned heavily, like they picked one position group and said, we're going all in on this position group. So again, Brian, you know me, or at least my personality on this show. I'm never one to defend Duke Tobin. I think the guy's one of the worst. I think they should have fired him a long time ago. But I agree with his take on this, that the way that they improved the linebacker room was by improving the D line up front. And I think that that's going to go a long way, because I do think Cincinnati is trying to figure out, Barrett Carter. I think they're trying to figure out, Demetrius Knight. I think they're trying to figure these guys out. The problem is there's no depth there. And maybe they go look. And by the way, I haven't done my homework. I don't know what available free agents are still out there. Guys, teams are still going to start cutting guys here soon as well. I think there'll be other opportunities to add to that linebacker room. But I think rather than, okay, we're going to get a defensive lineman and we're going to add a linebacker and we're going to get a safety, they just said, no, we gotta reshape this defensive line. And that's what they did. I agree with how they did it. And I think that the other problem is you want to be so improved so quickly that you could rush off guys. They could have rushed off Barrett Carter, Demetrius Knight, and some of these others. I think they like what they have in them, and I think they want another year just to kind of see exactly what they have. But I still think there's a chance to make more moves at linebacker. I think that they're kind of sitting back and waiting to see what other players are potentially out there. The reason I bring this up is because Duke Tobin earlier today was asked about, will Cincinnati approach Joe Burrow about restructuring his contract? And here's what Duke Tobin had to say.
Oh, those are things that we're working through after the draft. And again, we've layered in challenges, but we're up to them. And we do it because we got the opportunity to add the right people and the right players. And those are challenges that the locker room isn't interested in. They're interested in having the best team possible. And that's what we're trying to give them, is the best team possible.
So I get what he's trying to say, but it's why would you restructure the contract after the draft? I guess is my problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you might as well not push down. Like, if they're going to restructure it, you're going to free up funds, and then that cap hit will be pushed back later. But if you've already made it this far into free agency, like, why add a cap hit to a later off season? Because if you were going to restructure the deal and approach Joe Burrow about restructuring the contract, which, by the way, it's so stupid when Joe Burrow, can we restructure your contract? All you're really asking him is, Joe Burrow, can we take your $55 million and give it to you now as opposed to throughout the season? What, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. He has to agree to it, but why would there be a conflict in that? And why are you waiting until May before you ask him that? That's my only pushback. Okay. I'm not trying to be too Bengals negative here. Like I said, I think I've complimented them a lot. I like what they did. I love what they did in free agency. I think they've done well. They did okay in the draft, solid, as Brian said. I don't understand that approach from Duke Tobin. And correct me, guys, if I'm wrong on this, tell me, but I feel like the time to approach Joe Burrow about restructuring the contract is before free agency began. Now, it's kind of hard to be super critical of that just because I think the Bengals killed it in free agency. I think that I think they did great in free agency. I just don't understand why you would restructure right now. They still have $20 million to spend. It's not as if this team doesn't have any money to spend. They have money to spend even before the restructure. I mean, if they restructure it, fine. I just think the timing is kind of stupid. Like, this is the stuff that makes Cincinnati look silly to me at times, because I'm like, this is like the fact when Cincinnati does restructure Joe Burrow's contract, it's going to be a big deal because they don't do this often, but it's a common practice around the NFL. But to restructure contracts, you have to have money up front, and that's what slows down Cincinnati more so than any other team. Look, the Browns are a joke. I get it. The Browns is the Browns, yada, yada. The reason that Cleveland really has not been impacted by the Deshaun Watson contract is because they have a cash-rich owner. Anytime that they need to free up money to go get a free agent, they just go restructure a contract. Every team's allowed to do it, but not every team is capable of doing it because you have to have that money up front. And Cincinnati, they don't have, like, Cincinnati, do they have $55 million just sitting somewhere that they can go to Joe Burrow and say, hey, can we give you your money all up front as opposed to sifting it throughout the year? That's the problem. And I'm not saying they don't have it, but at times I feel like they don't always have it. Otherwise, they would be operating the same way that 95% of the other NFL teams do, as far as that's concerned. Brian Hetzel, Brian says, Duke Tobin doing Duke Tobin things. Brian, and I'm being serious here, like, that's weird, right? Like, why would you restructure his contract now? Unless I'm missing something, maybe you guys could find other teams that have restructured now. I just don't see the purpose in restructuring Joe Burrow's contract now. Now, like I said, I'm not going to be as like if Cincinnati had a bad free agent period and then they waited to restructure it until after the draft, then I'd probably be more aggressive about it. But they did well in free agency. But you probably could have done better if you just restructured it sooner. You could have added Mafe and all those guys and then some. And he was also talking about the addition of Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to get to that in a second. But yeah, I'm not going to say, we're going to wait to approach that till after the draft. I don't even think that's something you have to act like it's a big to-do. Every team throughout the NFL restructures contracts. It's really not that big of a practice. It's a normal practice. It's like waking up in the morning for some NFL teams. Like I said earlier, Cleveland, I get it. They're not the most well-run organization. I'm not here to defend that. But I love the fact that they have a cash-rich owner, because anytime they've needed to free up money, they've never been hurting for money because they always have that money up front to restructure deals, give it to them as a signing bonus, and then now they've less of a cap hit, and then they go add whoever they need to. It just doesn't make sense to do the Joe Burrow restructure now. Now, how I got down this path was talking about the line, because Brian had brought up the linebacker thing. My thing is, and I haven't done my homework, I need to go see what linebackers are available. Maybe there's some trades. There will be players that are cut. Maybe the Bengals are going to restructure Joe Burrow's deal because they're going to sit back and kind of, evaluate the landscape and see, okay, which players are available once players are cut and that type of thing. It could be an addition closer to camp or in camp. So we'll see. I just don't think it makes sense to do the restructure now unless they're planning to use that money to go attack the linebacker room. But I thought that I don't agree with Duke Tobin often, but he was asked about the lack of aggression of free agency, adding linebackers or even getting one in the draft. I agree with Duke Tobin on this. He said probably the best thing that we did for our linebacker room is what we did for our defensive line room. I don't like Duke Tobin. I think he's horrible at his job. I agree with them on that take, though, because they didn't just add one or two defensive linemen. They added all pros. They added pro bowlers, all pros. They added all the talent you could think of. A Super Bowl champion, the best interior defensive lineman in football. You added an all pro and Allen. Like they did their part on that D-line. It's a revamped D-line. And you did it at the expense of the linebacker room, which I'm okay with. And they added another D-line piece in Cassius in the draft in the second round. And normally, if they didn't make that Dexter Lawrence deal, I would not like that Cassius move. But I like the Cassius move because Cassius gets to come in and just be eased into it. Shamar Stewart, I think I give you guys permission, because you guys are always asking my permission for stuff, right? I give you permission to be re-excited about Shamar Stewart. I think Shamar Stewart's going to be really, really good now because Shamar Stewart doesn't have to be really, really good now. Does that make sense? I think there was so much pressure put on Shamar Stewart last year. I mean, the Bengals looked at a guy, all the red flags were he's a project, he's going to take some work, he's going to need time. But the Bengals needed someone now, and they drafted him to be great now, and he was never set up for success. I thought it was a stupid approach by Cincinnati a year ago with that. Now I think Shamar Stewart can come in and progress at his own pace. Now, needs to be at an NFL pace. It needs to be at a respectable pace. I think that you're going to see a lot of these guys vastly improve because they're not expected to carry the defense. Cassius isn't expected to carry that D-line, right? You look at Shamar Stewart. He's not expected to carry that D-line. You have proven veteran talent up front that I think is going to be the perfect complement to what Joe Burrow and company is doing on the offense. 937-518-1410. Let's go to AJ. AJ, thanks for holding.
Hey, what's up, Justin? On the draft, I will say, I like the Dexter Lawrence trade, but when it got to 10 and Caleb Downs was still available, I did get a little bit of buyer's remorse.
Really?
The reason being, yeah, because he's a foundational player. He's going to do great. He's one of those type of players like, he's a safety, but he's like Kyle Hamilton or Troy Polamalu, where he can just fill so many holes and play so many roles and just inspire a defense. And with his youth, I think we would get a little bit more longevity out of him. I mean, he could be a decade player, whereas with Dexter Lawrence, we maybe Get him for a couple years, 2-3 years. Who knows what happens with that? But I'm splitting hairs, to be honest with you, because I do like it, but it would have been nice to have Downs.
But let me ask you though, because again, if they didn't get so are the Bengals better off with Dexter Lawrence and Cassius with their first 2 picks, or would they have been better off with Caleb Downs and Cassius? I think they're better off with Dexter Lawrence and Cassius. Still a need at safety, yes, but they added one. I just don't think you were going to revamp this defense all in one offseason, and I think that next year they're going to really go hard after a safety. My big thing is this, and you're pissing me off, my guy, because you're making me defend Cincinnati. I think they made the right choice. I think that Dexter Lawrence, I get your concern because a lot of people are saying, what if he's only good for the next 2 or 3 years? Well, I think the next 2 or 3 years are the most important 2 or 3 years in the history of the Bengals because, my goodness, you have to have something to show for Joe Burrow. I don't think you have time to wait for rookies to develop over the next couple of years. You have to have guys to come in and help you win now. And I think I have more confidence that Dexter Lawrence could do that more so than a Caleb Downs. And I love Caleb. You're a Buckeye fan, right?
I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Okay, so never mind. There goes my next point. I was going to say, if you're a Buckeye fan, maybe it's a little of your fondness of the Buckeyes getting in the way, but you're a Notre Dame fan. So, no, okay. I don't think you're wrong. Trust me, Caleb Downs, if you end up with Caleb Downs and Cassius, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think either of those players are as good right now at their position as what Dexter Lawrence is at his, and I think Cincinnati made the right move from that perspective. They're in a win-now mode, and I think that's why this was the right choice for this team at this time.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, with the how it was presented, they had to make a decision, obviously, prior to the draft, because you don't know how it's going to pan out. I think most people did not anticipate Caleb Downs falling that far. I sure didn't. So at that point, you run the risk of, hey, we don't do the Dexter Lawrence trade, hopefully we get Caleb Downs, then all of a sudden Caleb's not available, and then you're just stuck, So they had to do something. Like I said, it is splitting hairs, but I did get just a slight tinge of buyer's remorse.
Yeah, and Caleb Downs is the one player, I guess, it makes sense to give you a little bit of that remorse, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, I'm a Browns fan, and the Browns did not need a safety, not even close, right? But when Caleb Downs was available at 6, before the Browns traded it, I'm like, man, do you really pass on Caleb Downs? I know you desperately need offense, but I mean, that's the type of talent that you maybe alter your plan for. But he wasn't available, or he was available at 6, but they traded back. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You need an offensive. But when he was available again at 9, I'm like, my goodness, there was no way in hell he was supposed to be available there or at 10, much less 11. And he could have dropped even further, but the Cowboys traded up to get him. So I'm with you. I think Caleb Downs, that was the one defensive player that I was like, man, if the Browns went that route, I still wouldn't be that upset about it because he's that type of talent. So I get both sides to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So. But all right, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
All right, that was AJ and Kettering, 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Your thoughts, on this draft. Like I said, Cincinnati, I think it was a solid draft. It was a solid draft. I'll give it I guess, I don't know. I'm the host, and I'm doing the corny, give the draft a grade. I mean, look at the graphic I had created and all this stuff. Grade it. Grade the draft. I don't even know what I would grade Cincinnati's. I think it's an incomplete. I don't think it was a good draft. I don't think it was a bad draft, but I don't think it had to be anything for once because Cincinnati did their part in free agency. They rebuilt this team in free agency, and it took the pressure off the draft because it was maddening and sickening the last couple of years for a roster that has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, for the morons that run that organization to say, I know what we'll do. We'll just take the worst defense in the NFL and we'll just redraft it and, we'll just rebuild it in 6 or 7 picks. And that's why they were picking as high as they were in the draft for 3 straight, missing the playoffs for 3 straight years. I think it was an okay draft. I don't think that they did anything of significance in it as far as that's concerned. Ron Moreland. Ron, I hope you're well, sir. Ron Moreland says sometimes you have to do things differently, just like you said, cuts, waivers, and free agents. Yeah, Duke Tobin coming out and saying we're going to restructure Joe Burrow's deal or approach him about it after the draft, I think is stupid. I think that's like saying, hey, we should probably stop and get gas right now. Oh, well, we'll relax. We're going to wait till we run out of gas and are on the side of the highway before we go fill up gas. That's how stupid Duke Tobin is when it comes to this. Oh, hey, maybe you should restructure the deal heading into free agency. Now, like I said, this only isn't as big of a deal as what I want to make it out to be because they did so well in free agency. But I just think the practicing of this is stupid. Because when you do this, by the way, you are going to kick the cap hit down the road. So why kick the cap hit down the road? The cap hit right now, as is, isn't impacting you at all. You risk sending that cap hit down the road at a time that it might hurt you. Don't risk that. I wouldn't restructure his deal right now. If they were going to do it, I would have done it at the beginning of the year because you could have gone for bigger swings in free agency. I like the free agency. I'm just saying they could have gone for bigger swings or more swings, But I think it's moronic right now to restructure the deal. I just don't get that. Nonetheless. So what Ron Moreland was alluding to is when I said maybe the reason that they're looking to restructure is because they're going to keep an eye on the linebacker market. They're going to keep an eye to see if, when teams start to cut guys, when camp arrives. And, I haven't taken a look at the free agency list. Maybe there's some free agents that they would look to grab, but who knows? I just think it's kind of silly. Now is it doesn't make sense to restructure the deal at the end of the day. Damon Hahn. What up, Damon? Damon says, it was not Caleb Downs that made me hesitate on the deal. For me, it was Ruben Bain, who also ended up being available. And again, does Ruben Bain would make the Bengals better this season and for seasons to come. But will he be as good you don't know. That's the thing about the draft. You hope Ruben Bain is going to be as good as what the analysis says he would be. You, Caleb Downs, you hope he's going to be as good as what the analysis and the prognosticators say. But these draft analysts, they get it wrong. These scouts get it wrong all the time. And I mean, the Caleb Downs, I'm not doubting that he's going to be good. But you're gambling. Is Caleb Downs going to be as good at his position moving forward as what Dexter Lawrence is at his? Take the OHIO hat off. I don't think you could guarantee that. Ruben Bain Jr., hell of a player. And he dropped, just like Caleb Downs, way further than anticipated. Cincinnati was so sure that neither Caleb Downs or Ruben Bain Jr. would be available that's one reason they decided to pull the trigger on the Dexter Lawrence deal, because they couldn't gamble and risk one of those players not being available. So I think Dexter Lawrence, how good he is now. You hope Caleb Downs would be good. You hope that Bain Jr. would be good. You hope that Cassius is going to be, you know what I mean? The draft is all about hope. The Bengals went out and got something that what you get, as far as that's concerned. But there you go. 937-518-1410. I'm Justin Kinner. Talk about the Browns side of things when we come back. I get it. Oh, the Browns, hang a banner. They won the offseason. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can't have a good upcoming season if you don't have a good off season. I've never understood the concept of making fun of teams for having a good off season, especially from, no offense, because we've been getting along as of late, but I find it very rich for Bengals fans, of all fans, to make fun of other teams for trying in the off season when this is the first off season that this organization has tried in quite some time. Cleveland won the off season, sure. They won the draft, no doubt. But I'm not going to sit here and feel bad about it. I mean, yes, what comes next is you expect wins to come with successful drafts in back-to-back years. But I'm not going to let you people try to downplay what the Browns just did over the weekend. Everyone wants Andrew Berry gone. Andrew Berry just nailed the draft once again for the second straight year. What does that mean for Cleveland? We'll discuss more when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Thank you for calling Michigan Tech Support. For stolen signs, press 1. For mysteriously dropped headset communications, press 2. For a cheating scandal that Michigan hasn't been caught for yet, press 3. You know what? Please hold.
The Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
What does it mean to live here, serve here in the Ohio Army National Guard?
It means I can attend college full-time and not have to take out student loans to pay for my tuition.
It means I can work my civilian job during the week and support my state and nation in times of need.
To live here, serve here means I can stay at home with my family and train with my unit 1 week in a month and 2 weeks in the summer.
It means I can be a small business owner and still rely on a regular paycheck and healthcare benefits from the Guard.
You too can live here, serve here as a part-time member of the Army National Guard and full-time resident of the state of Ohio. Learn more about part-time military service with full-time military benefits at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard in coordination with the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Upgrade to a new quality bath remodel in less time with minimal inconvenience and for less money with Bath Creations in as little as 2 days. We do it right. There are a lot of others boasting about bath remodels these days. Well, Bath Creations' expert craftsmanship and customer service speaks for itself. Plus, all first responders, veterans, and active military will save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit our beautiful showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or at mybathcreations.com and upgrade your new bath today.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enon. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are. But here's the good news. QC Kinetic patients here in Dayton are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. The QC Kinetic medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Patrick's golf game is on fire again. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. No pain. All real QC Kinetic patients. The sooner you start treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down. Because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetic regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Swing by Frickers this week and treat yourself to one of our unbeatable lunch combos. Choose from your favorites, like the Big Frickin' BLT, cheeseburger, frickin' chicken wrap, and more. Each with a side and drink for just $10.99. Plus, use the Frickers app and score double points on lunch for a limited time. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Whether you dine in or grab it to go, lunch just got a whole lot tastier and more rewarding. At your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Evan Cohen here. PayPal is now the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL, which means all the money moments that fandom creates, whether splitting tailgate costs or chipping in on tickets and game day food between friends, are covered. Wherever the game is played or watched, PayPal moves with fans. You can send money through text, email, or directly to your friends with eligible accounts on Venmo. Just download the PayPal app, share all the moments that matter. Account with PayPal is required, not available in all regions where PayPal operates.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Do you or someone you know need a driver's license? Sign up now to get your testing completed at our Moraine Auto Title location. Hi, I'm Shannon Crabtree from the Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office. Clerk Foley is proud to team up with the Ohio BMV to be a designated testing location, perfect for new drivers in southern Montgomery County. Schedule your driving skills test now on the Ohio BMV website. Choose a location at 5552 North Springboro Pike. Testing fees apply. We even have weekend hours to accommodate your busy schedule. Just another convenient service of your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, Mike Foley.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every home run.
It is gone into the second deck and left. A 2-run home run by Eugenio Suarez.
Cincinnati Reds baseball. Catch every game right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio.
No Reds baseball tonight. The Reds are off. They did drop game 3 over the weekend against the Tigers, but did take the series. The Reds continue to remain in first place. I mean, you look back, the last series they lost, they dropped 2 or 3 against the Angels. Since then, 2 or 3 from the Giants, sweeping the Twins. They took 2 or 3 from the Rays, and then 2 or 3 from the Tigers over the weekend. And as we sit here right now, the Reds sitting atop the NL Central, 18-10 overall, and have a 1-game lead on the Chicago Cubs, who are sitting at 17-11. Remember, the Reds and Cubs headed into the weekend last Friday, tied at 16-9 overall. And we're tied at the top of the division. Now the Reds have a 1-game lead over the Cubs. Pirates 16-12, third place in that division, and 14-13 is the record for the Cardinals and the Brewers. Both of those teams holding on to a 1 game above 500 record as we currently sit here right now. But the NL Central, the only division in all of baseball with every team above 500. So they do have that going for them. And as I talked about, I've been keeping track of this too. The Reds at 18-10, they would be in first place in every division in the American League right now. At 18-10, they would be a game behind the Dodgers in the NL West. And at 18-10, the crazy thing is they would be a game and a half behind the Atlanta Braves in the East. The Braves are 20-9. Braves are pretty damn good. I mean, remember last year, they were just hit by injuries early on, really couldn't bounce back. It was a down year for them, but they're 20-9. That division, that NL East is horrific. I mean, bad. And, the Mets, we thought they were going to bounce back. They've lost 3 straight. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 9-19 overall. They're dead last in that division. Philly has some expensive pieces on there. They moved on from a couple of them, and they're sitting at 9-19, tied at the bottom of that division. The Nationals are 13-16, tied with the Marlins, who also have 13 wins. But the Braves already at 20-9 have a 6.5 game lead over everyone else in that division. So that's an interesting one nonetheless. Either way. But we welcome you back again. It's the Justin Kinner Show, all recapping everything out of the draft. Talked a lot about the Bengals early on. Quick summary of my take on the Bengals. This draft was an interesting one because I didn't feel the angst from you Bengals fans. I didn't feel a lot of pressure on the Bengals heading into the draft. And a lot of that is because of the hard work that they put in free agency. By putting in so much work in free agency, they took the pressure off the draft. The Bengals are not a good drafting team. They're not a good developing team. I don't think they've done a good job. And maybe it's not fair to say they're not a good developing team. I think it's unfair to do nothing but draft players, do nothing but draft players on one side of the ball and say, hey, all of you first and second year guys, go carry Joe Burrow to a Super Bowl. I think that's absolutely insane and ridiculous. And it was a stupid decision by the front office. And I continue to this day, blame them. And I blame T. Higgins. T. Higgins never should have been brought back. T. Higgins should have traded him. They should have used that $30 million to add to the defense as opposed, before. No, they did good in this offseason. I'm not downplaying that. But it shouldn't have had to come to them hitting rock bottom for 3 straight years before they decided to go make an effort on the defensive side of the ball. The T. Higgins contract, to me, I think totally was a stupid decision on the half of the front office. I think it was moronic, as far as I'm concerned. However, they have found a way to potentially make this all work moving forward. Have a roster that has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown potentially moving forward, and a Dexter Lawrence. You added Mafe, a Super Bowl champion. You know what I mean? Like they've bounced back from it, but it shouldn't have taken missing the playoffs for 3 straight years before someone in that front office said, well, maybe we should do our jobs. But I do love the fact that they took the pressure off the draft. They didn't head into day 2 of the draft and saying, man, the only chance we have at winning a Super Bowl is by drafting well tonight. And I'm not saying that the draft was not important. It definitely was. But it wasn't everything this time. And I think for too many years, the Bengals have said all of our hopes and dreams are going to be based on the draft. And I don't think that they've done a good job drafting. Guys, even the draft that they got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, those were the only 3 good players they got during that time. You know what I mean? Logan Wilson too, but that was like a quick flash. You know what I mean? Like Logan Wilson was good for a short minute. And I guess you could add McPherson. I like Money Mac. I think McPherson's solid, right? But the only good player the only good players the Bengals have drafted in the last 5-6 years, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and McPherson. Outside of that, everyone else is just average to below to bad. So that's why I applaud the Bengals' aggressiveness in free agency. They basically acknowledged we're not good at this drafting thing. We're not good at developing. Let's go get guys that we already know are great, and we'll see. But yeah, I thought this draft felt different because they didn't have to be great. They didn't have to be great. The Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns. I tell you what, because it's 3:57. Oh yeah, I'd say I want to spend more time on the Browns. I don't want to rush it. So we're going to open up with the Browns for hour 2. I get it. The Browns won the offseason. Hang a banner. Well, doesn't matter if you don't win. Yeah, we all know that. But am I supposed to be down? Am I supposed to be upset that my team won the draft? Hell no. Because you can't be, unless if you can't draft and you can't develop, you're not going to be good. You have a 0% chance at winning football games. It's one piece to the puzzle, but it's probably the most important piece to the puzzle is being able to draft and develop. And the Browns have done a really, really good job of that as of late. We'll see how that transpires into the regular season. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, hour 2 next.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a hospitality manager at a 5-star hotel.
So I just checked into room 318, but someone was in there.
Room 318. Oh, you were supposed to be booked in 813, which is now booked.
So what do we do?
How about rock, paper, scissors for who gets the bid?
This is the job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Today, a mix of clouds and sun early, followed by cloudy skies this afternoon, a high of 78. Tonight, windy with rain, thunderstorms possible, mainly overnight. Could have some gusty winds, a low of 62 degrees. And tomorrow for your Tuesday, scattered thunderstorms in the morning, partly cloudy skies, late a high of 72. I'm Adam Zellick for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Kubota keeps the job site running smoothly with the #1 selling compact excavator lineup in the world. Reliable, capable, and backed by strong dealer support. Stop by today to power up your crew. Right now, bring home select Kubota excavators with 0% financing available or save up to $7,000. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimer for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment Company in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment. Or check us out online at columbusequipment.com.
ABS, TPMS, CVT, VVT. The auto industry loves its alphabet soup, but at Carroll Works Tire in Dayton, we keep it simple. The only acronym you need to remember is TIRE. Trust, integrity, reliability, expertise. That's what we deliver every day. Carroll Works Tire, keeping Dayton rolling with TIRE service you can count on. Find us online at C-W Tire or talk to a real human. 937-461-5441.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Cordell Transportation is looking for more weekend warriors. If you have a Class A CDL and would like to make some extra money casually driving weekend daytime routes, then Cordell Transportation is looking for you. Home daily, all loads round trip, no touch freight, and competitive pay. Full-time routes could become available if you're interested. Drive weekends at Cordell Transportation. Apply at CordellTransportation.com or call Ron at 937-277-7271. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Locally grown, quality grown for 121 years. First Florist and Garden Center is bursting into bloom, and the Garden Center is now open daily, 9 to 5. Find everything you need for a beautiful garden. Veggies, perennials, annuals, and more. Mother's Day is May 10th. Show mom the love with flowers from First. Choose gorgeous hanging baskets, colorful garden pots, thoughtful gifts, or a gift certificate. Call 937-223-1213. Stop in at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton, or visit firstflorist.com.
Let the good times roll. Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great time out with friends. Join us this summer for fun adult, youth, mixed, or travel leagues. Polking Bowling Centers have a program just for you. All full Summer League bowlers get a VIB pass and a chance to win cash and prizes. Ask about our Summer Pass where you can bowl for $1 a game. Limited days and times. And don't forget to ask about Kids Bowl free. Let the good times roll at Polking Lanes, Dayton, Polking Woodman Lanes, Kettering, and Polking Lanes South in Centerville.
Swing by Frickers this week and treat yourself to one of our unbeatable lunch combos. Choose from your favorites, like the Big Frickin' BLT, cheeseburger, frickin' chicken wrap, and more. Each with a side and drink for just $10.99. Plus, use the Frickers app and score double points on lunch for a limited time. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Whether you dine in or grab it to go, lunch just got a whole lot tastier and more rewarding. At your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Free your team from time-consuming procurement tasks. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Hang a banner. The Browns won the offseason champions, Cleveland Browns, man. And I have no clue when it became a bad thing to draft well. I don't know when it became a bad thing to attack your needs in free agency. I don't know when that became a bad thing. I'll never understand why that's used as an insult. And like I said earlier, and I've been very fair about my evaluation of the Bengals this offseason. I've given them their flowers, but I find it very rich that the loudest people trying to discredit what the Browns have done in the draft the last 2 years are fans of an organization that just figured out what you're supposed to do in an offseason, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Hang a banner, the Browns won another offseason. Well, maybe if your team valued the offseason more, it would have had a couple more banners at this point, talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, of course. So, and the bottom line is this. Cincinnati has won an offseason. I think they've won the offseason. I think both the Browns and the Bengals, you can make an argument both have tied. I think both have done a phenomenal job in looking at the list of what their needs were and attacking those needs with aggressiveness from free agency and the draft. I think the Bengals and Browns, probably the best collective offseason between both sides that I could think of in quite some time. I don't know the last time that both teams really nailed the offseason. I think Cincinnati has nailed it, and I think Cleveland has nailed it. Now, obviously, Cleveland and Cincinnati have vastly different needs. Cleveland and Cincinnati, there's a gap between the two because I think that what Cincinnati doesn't do well, Cleveland does well, and what Cleveland doesn't do well, Cincinnati does well. Or what Cincinnati's needs, Cleveland has them. Cleveland's needs, Cincinnati has them. Cleveland needs a quarterback and wide receivers. Cincinnati has that. Cincinnati has needed everything else from a run game to an offensive line to a defense. Cleveland has that. So the two franchises in Ohio are fascinating because they're the complete opposites of one another, but both losers. Both miss the playoffs regularly. as bad as the Browns have been, the crazy part is Joe Burrow is heading into year 7 with Cincinnati, but Cleveland has the most recent playoff appearance, and they've been picking in the top 10 the last couple of years. So when Bengals fans and Browns fans start yelling at one another, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. My bad team's better than your bad team. That's the stupidity that kind of gets thrown around a little bit, and I always get a huge kick out of that. But in all seriousness, I like it what Cleveland did in the draft. I talked about Cincinnati earlier in regards to, I think the one reason that their draft went so well is because they took a lot of pressure off of the draft by attacking it, by attacking free agency with aggression. I think the fact that, the Cincinnati desperately needed a pass rush. They desperately needed veterans on that defensive line. And, they went and they did that, right? Like they went and got veterans on that defensive line. They added a safety, right? Like a Super Bowl champion safety. They added a Super Bowl winning safety, obviously in Brian Cook. You know what I mean? Like you added Jonathan Allen, a multiple-time Pro Bowler up front. You added Dexter Lawrence, the best at his position. You added Mafe, a Super Bowl champion. So when the draft came around for the Bengals over the weekend, you just didn't feel that angst because they took the pressure off the draft. You still need to draft well, and these guys need to play well that the Bengals drafted. I just don't think that I'm looking at any player that the Bengals drafted and said, oh my gosh, for them to be successful this year, it's up to that guy. Cleveland's different. Now, you could, there's a lot of Browns fans out there that wish that they would have been more aggressive when it came to wide receiver. I just don't think there was any good wide receivers available in free agency. There was no good there wasn't anyone. Could the Browns have gotten aggressive and gone after A.J. Brown? I don't think that the Browns quarterback situation is good enough to go get an A.J. Brown. And what I mean by that is I think A.J. Brown is a bum. I think he's a bum. I think that what I want from my athletes is all that, you know how athletes will say all that matters is we win. All that matters, I get on Jamar Chase about this a lot. I think Jamar Chase can be bummish at times. I think he is very about him more so than the team. There are times where I've seen the fact that, the team plays well, but he didn't get his touches in Joe Burrow's absence and he would complain and all this stuff. And I'm like, buddy, this isn't about you. This is about the team as a whole. Like wins have to go. But A.J. Brown is on a Super Bowl championship team. He's been to multiple Super Bowls with the Eagles. They just won it a year ago. But he's reading on the sideline, throwing fits, acting like a child because he doesn't get the ball enough. And I get it. These guys are the ultimate competitors. They want the ball. But to me, the ultimate competitor is I'm going to do absolutely anything in my power to help my team win. And this team this guy bitches, moans, and complains while winning. I don't want that in Cleveland. Cleveland has enough distractions. They have enough problems. And I don't think the quarterback situation in Cleveland is good enough for them to go get a guy like that who is all about himself and is definitely, you want him to potentially come to Cleveland where Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders, who, so many question marks. I think that would have been a horrific decision. Cleveland, you really couldn't improve the wide receiver room in free agency. You just couldn't. Romeo Doubs, really? Like you add Romeo Doubs, you think the NFL world, you think the Bengals fans and others are going to look at Cleveland and say, oh, that's a great get. Nice job. No, I think that the Browns looked at the draft and said that there is more wide receiver talent available in the draft than what we could potentially go get and spend a lot of money on in free agency. And what Cleveland did in this draft, for the first 4 picks, the first 4 picks they had for whether it was the offensive tackle out of Utah and Fano, the 2 wide receivers in Concepcion, of course, and Boston, and then to get my favorite. And by the way, I love every pick, but that Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety out of Toledo. The Browns got 4 starters in the first 4 picks. All 4 of those guys all had first round grades. Denzel Boston had no business falling out of the first round. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren also had no business falling out of the first round. And the Browns ended up with both of them. The Browns ended up with Concepcion and Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston, a bigger, more physical wide receiver. And then you have the smaller, faster speed guy in Concepcion, who's the best route runner in this draft. And one of the fastest wide receivers in this draft, the fastest wide receiver in this draft. So I think Cleveland nailed it. Those are 2 of the top wide receivers. Like, are they as talented as the receiver that went to Philadelphia? Is he, are these receivers as talented as Mekhi Lemon? I don't know, but Mekhi Lemon, not a fan of his attitude, not a fan of his personality, not a fan of that. So I think Cleveland nailed the draft just based on what they did, especially with those top 4 picks. I mean, to get Fano, who you desperately needed a guy who could play up front in the offensive line at tackle, and he could play both tackle and guard positions. I think that's key to have that kind of versatilitiness up front. Concepcion, a speed guy. Obviously, Denzel Boston, we talked about a starting safety to add to the back of that defense, a top 5 defense. I love the fact that they got Austin Barber, a ton of potential right there. The linebacker out of Alabama and Justin Jefferson. Look, the best Justin Jefferson in the NFL obviously is Justin Jefferson for the Vikings at wide receiver. I don't think that the Browns have the equivalent to that. But Justin Jefferson does have a lot of potential at linebacker. Joe Royer is getting a lot of huge praise coming out of that draft, the tight end out of Cincinnati that the Browns were able to get. And then, quite honestly, that might be one of the less talked about, that should be more talked about, the Taylon Green pick. Taylon Green, the quarterback from Arkansas, one of the fastest 40s in the history of the combine at quarterback. The Browns got him. Todd Monken loves versatile quarterbacks. I mean, when he got, Lamar Jackson was already an elite quarterback when he got there, but he took that elite quarterback and he was able to build an offense around it to where now the offense became elite with it. I don't know what to make of Cleveland drafting another quarterback. But I don't mind it. I mean, it was the 6th round. And you got Taylon Green, who's played a lot of games in college, has a lot of experience, athletic as hell, can throw the football, good poise in the pocket. Who knows what to make of who Taylon Green's going to be moving forward for Cleveland. But all of this was done regardless of who the quarterback is. The quarterback now, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Taylon Green, whether it's Dylan, it ain't Dylan Gabriel. I wish they would have cut Dylan Gabriel yesterday. I have no clue why we're doing this little, song and dance of, we're going to see how he looks in camp. He looks horrendous now, and I haven't even seen him. I don't want to see it. Get rid of Dylan Gabriel, please. Kick him with both feet out the door. I'm done with Dylan Gabriel. I hated the pick a year ago. I hated watching him play. I want nothing to do with Dylan Gabriel. See ya. Go to Atlanta. Go ruin Stefanski's run over there like you did here. I'm over that one. So, regardless of who the quarterback is, you now have weapons to throw the football to. Regardless of who the quarterback is, you have a tight end to throw the football to, obviously in Harold Fannin Jr. Regardless of who the quarterback is, you obviously have last year, the top running back in last year's draft class in Quinshon Judkins to hand it off to. He will be available by camp. That report did come out over the weekend as well. I mean, and then they attacked that offensive line all in free agency. The Browns went and got some very proven, effective, good offensive linemen. I think that Cleveland did exactly what they were supposed to. Oh, they won the draft. Put a banner up. When did it become an insult to draft well? When did it become a bad thing? You know what I mean? When did it become a bad thing to be aggressive in the offseason? When did it become a bad thing of never under off-season champions? Okay, cool. I mean, living here in this area amongst a lot of Bengals fans, I find it very rich that you guys find that to be something to mock other teams over, considering the whole reason that your organization has vastly underachieved over the last 3 years is because you haven't come close to winning the offseason. So, yes, I look up and down whether, if it is Shedeur Sanders, and Shedeur looked okay last year at times. To sit here and act like Shedeur was just the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL is kind of stupid. I think that, he does a lot of the things that good prototype quarterbacks in today's NFL do. He does that. I think it's safe to say he had no help last year. Okay. I don't think he did himself a lot of favors either. I'm not sitting here and saying that, that the Browns have a gem of a quarterback that they were just completely holding back, but I don't think they did anything for him to flourish. Okay. Guys, in Cincinnati, and Bengals fans, you can attest to this more than anybody. Do you remember how bad Joe Flacco was in weeks 1 through 4 last year? Remember how horrible he was for the Browns? Joe Flacco was rated the worst quarterback in the NFL the first month of the season. Amongst all qualifying quarterbacks, Joe Flacco was bottom 3 in every major statistical category for a quarterback last year, 1 month into the season. You know what happened when he got traded to Cincinnati? All of a sudden, did Joe Flacco get younger when he moved to Cincinnati? Did Joe Flacco just all of a sudden remember how to throw a football when he got to Cincinnati? Did Joe Flacco just all of a sudden, remember how to play football when he got to Cincinnati? I promise you this much. I defend Zach Taylor than most. Zach Taylor didn't find something in Joe Flacco. That offense didn't bring out something in Joe Flacco. You know what I mean? The coaches didn't coach him up. The organization didn't he went where there were wide receivers. And it's funny how you have a geriatric old fill in the blank quarterback that looks like he should have retired decades ago, 1 month into last year, and now all of a sudden was leading the number one offense since taking over Cincinnati. Guys, this is clearly about no weapons. No weapons. Jerry Jeudy, he was solid 2 years ago. I'm not saying he's Jamar Chase, but he was not good last year. All right, Cedric Tillman, I think there's a lot of promise there, but he can't stay healthy. David Njoku was non-existent. The offensive line, which I thought had a lot, has been their staple for so long, that offensive line was garbage. They had no line, no pass catchers. Stefanski's offense that was his strong. That's what got him a job in Atlanta. That's what got him a job in Cleveland. It disappeared. There was nothing to work with, and that was on the front office. But they made the right choices. They drafted well. And again, this is what I said earlier about Cincinnati. Cincinnati kept making so many mistakes by trying to put an all-rookie first, second-year defense together and wondering why it wasn't working. And that was Cleveland last year. There's talent around that offense, but not collectively. That offensive line was so bad. Quinshon Judkins is going to be a top 10 running back in the NFL this year, right? I look at the draft. I look at, Concepcion. I look at Denzel Boston. Those are two instant starters. So you've given Shador Sanders. You've beefed up that offensive line. That offensive line is vastly improved. It's going to be one of the top offensive lines in football. You have Quinshon Judkins to hand the football off to. You now have Concepcion, Denzel Boston, and Harold Fannin Jr., three elite pass catchers. You have an experienced pass catcher in Jerry Jeudy. You get Fano, the potential left tackle, right, up front. And then, somehow, some way, got a starting safety out of all of this, and that wasn't even a big-time need. He's going to be playing and talking about Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the star safety, the first-round graded safety out of that the Browns got on day 2 out of Toledo. But Grant Delpit and Ronnie Hickman, those are the two safeties that the Browns, has been doing a fantastic job in that defense. And I think that Emmanuel McNeil-Warren could be better than both of them. So I think that they absolutely killed this draft. And you look back at what they did last year, right? You look at last year, Harold Fannin Jr., dominant tight end that they got out of Bowling Green and was dominant in the NFL. He led them in receiving, right? Now you look at the fact that they go get Quinshon Judkins, was the number one offensive running. He was the number one rookie running back last year before he goes down with the injury. All right, you continue to go down the list. Mason Graham. I know he didn't get to the quarterback. He didn't get a lot of stats that popped up on there, but he was one of the best graded defensive linemen amongst all rookies last year. The Browns killed it with him. You have Myles Garrett, obviously, but Carson Schweisinger last year led the team in tackles last year. You still have Denzel Ward. You added Quincy Williams. That was a huge get, by the way. So, you get Justin Jefferson, the linebacker out of Alabama. He'll be a backup. Like Mike Hall, a backup. Like Isaiah McGuire, backup. Like the depth that this defense has, along with the weapons they have on offense now, Cleveland's not winning a Super Bowl. They're not winning a Super Bowl. This is going to be about, in my estimation, a 7-win team at the worst. But if Deshaun or Shador pan out, I think it's a 9, 10, 11 win team. I think it's a 9, 10, 11 win team in that range. I think 10 is fair. But like I said, I'm fascinated to see the Deshaun thing. My only other theory on Deshaun is this. Like, we've seen how stuffy the offense for Stefanski can be, right? There was a lot of criticisms down the stretch of quarterbacks were getting worse under his watch. They weren't getting better. Dylan Gabriel didn't pan out. Shador just really couldn't find a way. Joe Flacco was horrific in that offense of Stefanski, but he goes to Cincinnati and all of a sudden everything changes. I wonder how much of Deshaun's downfall, and I'm not talking about off the field because that's on him 100%. He has only himself to blame, and I'm not a Deshaun the person fan by any means. I don't even think I'm a Deshaun the quarterback fan. But can anyone still explain to me, this is the question I've been asking for years, how are you a top 5 quarterback and in your mid-20s you just forget how to play football? Isn't there a chance that it was Stefanski's offense? Isn't there a chance that when you take the fact that there's no pass catchers and a obviously a bad, and I hate saying bad because it didn't used to be bad. Stefanski's scheme got stale. Like, how does Deshaun just forget how to play football? I don't know. Like, what if, I've heard, whether it's Mina Kimes and Dan Orlovsky and others have said multiple reports around the league is Deshaun could still play at a high level. And what if this scheme with Concepcion and Boston and Judy with that revamped offensive line and Quinshon Judkins, what if that's enough to maybe not get the old Deshaun back, but get somewhere? I've said this before. I don't think Deshaun is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, obviously. But I also don't think he's been as bad as what he's been in Cleveland. I don't think he's Houston Deshaun Watson, but I don't think he's been the Deshaun that we've seen in Cleveland. But the only way for that theory to truly be tested is to see Deshaun in a different system, and that different system is going to be Todd Monken's. And my money's on Deshaun over Shedeur. It just is. I like Shedeur. Shedeur, it would be cool if he is the guy. And if he is, I'm not going to complain. I'll buy a Shedeur jersey. I'll buy his jersey this year. I'm not anti-Shedeur. I'm just saying, I think that if they are going to lean into Shedeur or Deshaun, I think they're going to look into the guy that they gave a crap ton of money to. I think they're going to look at a guy that, hey, because here's the other thing, big picture for them to continue to add to this roster. Deshaun's going to hurt them contract-wise moving forward with some hits coming up. But if they can extend his contract, it's crazy talking about an extension, but if he's good enough for an extension, now he becomes cheaper, and now this team has way more flexibility. So who knows? Who knows? Ron Howard says this organization is set up to fail. I disagree. I've seen some stuff all day today that the Browns did everything they could to help Shedeur succeed. They did everything they could to help the quarterback succeed. You don't go make moves for Shedeur. You go make moves because that's what you're supposed to do. You don't go get a good wide receiver because Shedeur needs a wide receiver. You go get a wide receiver because whoever the hell's your quarterback needs a wide receiver. This draft wasn't for Shedeur Sanders. It was for the Cleveland Browns because I don't know who Cleveland wants to be the quarterback. I don't know who they want to be the quarterback. But they're going to be one of the more fascinating teams to follow this season, no doubt about it. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Get a recap of all the day's news from across the state. The ONN Daily Podcast. Listen at onnradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts from the Ohio News Network.
She walked miles with her granddaughters every day at Disney with zero knee pain, but she couldn't have done that months ago. This all started with a visit to QC Kinetics.
We have spent the last 4 days going from park to park, walking all day long, no pain. I feel fantastic.
Here's what baffles people when they hear Kathy's story.
The doctor said, you need 2 full knee replacements. And I said, that's not going to happen. I went to QC Kinetics, started treatment that day. Within a couple of weeks, I was absolutely pain-free.
It's the kind of story that QC Kinetics hears from patients all the time.
I cannot thank QC Kinetics enough for giving me my life back. I'm active again and loving it. I'm well over a year out. I've had absolutely no pain in either knee.
Before you agree to surgery, listen to this. Think about it.
Tomorrow is Animal Kingdom, so yeah, gotta go.
Kathy's glad she took them up on the free consultation. We have one set aside for you.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Food truck owners, today business will be booming. People will love your new menu and not make special orders. You will not roll your eyes when someone calls it a quesadilla. You will also switch to Progressive to get 30 customizable coverage options and restore your inner peace. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and covered selections.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a hospitality manager at a 5-star hotel.
So I just checked into room 318, but someone was in there.
Room 318. Oh, you were supposed to be booked in 813, which is now booked.
So what do we do?
How about rock, paper, scissors for who gets the bid?
This is the job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more. And then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Trying to keep up with today's fast-changing digital landscape? With more ways to consume content than ever before, it is getting harder to reach your customers. You need more than just a presence. You need the experts at Conrex Digital. We craft websites that convert. We curate engaging content on social and blog channels. We generate quality leads through Google and Meta. We dominate your competition on streaming TV. Bold marketing, real results. Conrex Digital makes it happen. Visit conrexdigital.com. That's conrexdigital.com.
Describing the delicious flavor of Lee's new famous wrap is tough, but we figured we'd give it a shot. Imagine crispy, golden, fried to perfection chicken, drizzled with bold, peppery, beautifully balanced famous sauce, resting on a plush bed of succulent lettuce and sprinkled with cheese. It's like ordering delicious with a side of exquisite. In other words, it's awesome. The famous wrap with new famous sauce. Only at Lee's. Famous for a reason. It's spring, the season for gardening and outdoor fun. Mad River Mulch and Topsoil is here to help as the region's leading provider of mulch, rock, processed topsoil, sand, and compost.